Anyway, we will be going to proceed with another type of exponential smoothing, which actually deal with the simple exponential smoothing. So when we say exponential smoothing, that is a time series forecasting method that smooths the data using a weighted average or past observations. This is also known as the single exponential smoothing, which is used when the time series data does not show trend or seasonality. So in this type of forecasting model of for exponential smoothing, this is not dealing with trend nor seasonality. If the value does not dealing with both trend and seasonality, so you will just only use the simple exponential smoothing, or also known as the single exponential smoothing. Now, it is one of the simplest and most common techniques for making short-term forecasts because, of course, you only just smooth out the data, then you will just have to forecast the following forecasted data in the future. That's actually how it works in this particular topic. And then simple exponential smoothing is somewhat using that formula where we are having the simple um, equals the alpha times the y of t, then plus 1 with a minus alpha, then times the st minus 1. When we see st, that is the data, the forecast for the forecast for the current period. So say for example, you're forecasting 2024, that is the data. That is the data that you're forecasting. If st minus 1, that is the previous data, the previous forecasted data. When we say y of t, that is basically the current value or the just the current data set that you do have. And S of t was where is the forecast for the current period time, and y of t is the actual data or observed value for the current period. And alpha is the smoothing constant between um, 0 and 1. St minus 1 is the forecast for the previous period or the forecast made for time t minus 1, is what I have stated. So the alpha actually controls how much weight is given to the most recent observation. When alpha is closer to 1, more weight is given to most recent observation of y of t. When a is closer to 0, more weight is given to the previous forecast, which is st minus 1. Now, that represent the forecast for the previous period, which could be either a forecast you made for the previous day or week or etc. Everything. Now, anyway, when we say, let's go next. There will be having a steps here, choosing the smoothing constant or the parameter that we do have in setting the initial forecast. Is apply this formula of the simple exponential smoothing for each period of data that you have data points. Update the forecast as new data becomes available and repeat for all the future period. Now, this one here, choosing the smoothing constant or the alpha, the smoothing parameter. The smoothing constant determines the weight given to the most recent observation. Its value ranges from 0 to 1. Equals 1 means the forecast is wholly based on the most recent data point, and equals 0 means that the forecast is wholly based on the previous estimate and ignores the current data point. So typically, you choose alpha based on how much importance you want to give to recent data. A higher puts more weight on recent data. A lower gives more weight to the previous forecast. So that's how it worked then. And setting the initial forecast or the S1. This is for the first forecast, day one or period one. We're just initializing. You need an initialize forecast. It can either be the first actual data point or like S1 is equals to Y1 or the average of the first few observation if you prefer is smoother constant. So basically what we will begin to use is Y1. S1 is equals to Y1 so that it will be basic for us to identify. And for simple exponential smoothing, apply this formula for each period, the formula that we do have earlier. Once have initial forecast, you can apply the formula to calculate the forecast for the next period using the given formula. Apply the formula repeatedly to generate forecast for all future period. That's how it works. Now, for this one here, update the forecast. Update the forecast as new data becomes available. For each new period, use the forecast for the previous period, SD minus 1, and the actual data for the current period, YT, to calculate the latest estimate. Once you have the day 2 forecast S2, we will use it as we will use it as SD minus 1 for day 3 forecast and so on. It is actually like that. We'll begin to deal with that in our example um, because this is somewhat particularly vague for you, and I'll begin to illustrate that later on as we go through. And repeat for all future period. Update the forecast using the formula as new data becomes available. It gets incorporated into the forecast for the subsequent period. This process continues with forecast all desired period. So basically, you will just repeat for all period if you're able to smooth out the data. So, if you're forecasting for 10 years, we'll begin to go through the process of how you could be able to work on that one in a step-by-step manner. So definitely, that's the simple exponential smoothing all about, the steps as well as the definition, and we'll begin to deal with a separate video, how does it work in a step-by-step manner, and we will begin to discuss that separately. Thank you so much, and see you in that video.